Hi everyone, this is Vlad and Gadget with a review of the HTC Sensation. It's a 4.3-inch Android 2.3 smartphone. It runs a Qualcomm MSM 8660 1.2 GHz dual-core processor. It has Adreno 220 graphics, Quad HD resolution, 960 by 540 pixels, and is HTC's first Sense 3.0 device. Sense 3.0 is mostly a cosmetic overhaul of the familiar Sense interface and skin which comes on top of Android, but we'll take a look at that in our software overview. We'll just kick things off with a tour of the hardware. So looking around this handset, the thing that really struck us is how familiar and how similar it is to the Incredible S, which will also be known as the Incredible 2 over in the US by now. So we'll just put the two side by side and take a look. As I say, there's a 4.3-inch screen here on the Sensation, just a 4-inch screen on the Incredible S, but when you put the two side by side, they're actually very similar in terms of dimensions. So the Incredible S is obviously a little bit taller, but in terms of width, they pretty much match one another. I'll just turn on the Android keys and the Incredible there. In terms of thickness, again, they're pretty much identical. In terms of listed specs on the Sensation say that it's 11.3 millimeters thick, whereas it's 11.7 on the Incredible S. But in terms of actual handling, they're pretty much the same. Also notable, as you can see, is volume rocker is just about the same size on both. Micro USB port is in the same spot on both. Coming around at the bottom, I have the little notch for opening up the back cover, the back case for both handsets. You have the little microphone port there. Absolutely nothing on both right sides. Then at the very top you've got the power buttons and 3.5mm headphone jacks, again at the same spot. The Sensation has its LED status light. It's integrated just over here. It's front-facing camera. The Incredible S also has its status LED light integrated right next to the earpiece. Come around to the back, again very similar. 8 megapixel cameras, dual LED flashes, and one loudspeaker on each. So as you can see, HTC has pretty intentionally decided to stick with one sort of physical design for both. The major difference with the Sensation, as I say, is that has the bigger screen, 4.3 inches, and also that its case is made out of one block of aluminum with a couple of plastic inserts. So this part right here is aluminum, stretches all the way around. It basically accounts for the entire frame around the screen, and then you have one plastic insert on top, one on the bottom, both soft touch plastic. With the display, HTC has done something quite interesting rather, which is that it has this contouring thing going on, which you can try and capture here. It just gives it a little bit of a concave effect, so that the very edges are just a little bit further out than the screen itself. So the screen is slightly recessed. What that does is, when you put the phone down, face down like so, the display itself isn't actually in direct contact with a flat surface. If it's a ridged surface, it might be, but it's an extra little bit of protection. Also notable is that this is Gorilla Glass, so scratches and scuffs shouldn't be an issue with this one. We've done quite a bit of testing with Gorilla Glass screens and they are quite impressive. As you can see, just from handling it in this particular video, smudges are very easily accumulated on the Sensation screen. You can't really do much about this, but then most smartphones are like this. Also notable back here is that the camera lens is slightly recessed in this plastic case around it. Same is also true of the two LEDs here. So there's an extra little bit of protection for the camera itself and the lights from getting scuffed up from being put down on surfaces. General fit and finish is pretty much flawless. Everything is very well done. The only thing that we actually noticed, let's see if it shows up here, is that there's a little bit of light bleeding out at this very corner, the bottom left hand corner. It's not really showing up because we're in a well lit spot at the moment, but in the dark, when the Android software keys come on, you see a little bit of their backlight bleeding out here on the side. We think this is just an our review handset. It shouldn't be a consistent issue across all Sensation devices. Generally speaking, as I say, this is great fit and finish, great build quality, very rigid thanks to this aluminum frame. And we'll actually take a look at how it looks without it, because it's quite interesting. The frame itself, I call it a frame rather than a case because it really wraps all the way around the phone. It's a bit fiddly to open, as HTC cases tend to be. But once you do crack it open, you pull the phone out, you can see that it actually covers the front at the top and the bottom. It covers the full sides, both the left and the right, and obviously it covers the entire back. But it's essentially a shell, really. It wraps all the way around the phone. This is the entire physical frame that's around for it. Essentially what you're left with is hardware and ingredients, and then the shell. So these are the two distinct parts. So this plays a really big part. Obviously you also have the antennas integrated into the plastic bits here as well. It is rigid. It isn't like with the Incredible S case, which is flexible plastic. So this is a fully rigid. Is the whole, as I say, it serves to protect the whole phone, so it has to be very strong, and it is. It is. The only issue is that it takes you a while to figure out how to crack it open. Aside from that, inside here you have a 1520 milliamp hour battery. Pops open like so. Take a look at the details. There we go. Which gives you access to your SIM card slot right here. And there's a micro SD card slot, which is already populated with an 8GB card. Which is tiny. There you go. Putting things back together is nice and straightforward. And you essentially have to nestle all the hardware back into this case. It clicks back in. There are no issues in terms of anything popping open unintentionally. The volume rocker, the power button, they are only two physical keys, but they work very well. Capacitive Android keys also work very well. And generally speaking,